today.
Are you tired of living with stained and worn-out carpeting? Does the den look like bears spent the winter with you? Spring is here, and so is Empire Today's half off your project sale, starting now, but only for a limited time. Save 50% on a huge selection of carpet, hardwood, and laminate, standard padding and materials, and basic installation. Call the Empire Today half off your project sale hotline now.
1-855-385-0681.
Empire Today's free in-home estimates are easy and smart. Choose from high-quality flooring in the rooms where you'll use them, with your lighting, so you can see the color best. We'll do the measuring. You do the selecting and saving. But first, you must do the calling. Everyone loves the half off your project sale. Even bears. Call the Empire Today special hotline
1-855-385-0681. 1-855-385-0681.
Empire today.
Select styles. Details at EmpireToday.com.
Blog Talk Radio.
Om Shabbat Shalom, Holy Way of the Most High. Om Shabbat Shalom, I sense your presence. Om Shabbat Shalom, Holy Way of the Most High. Om Shabbat Shalom, I sense your presence. I sense your presence. And I am the light within your soul. In the essence of truth and right, love makes the circle whole. And here we stand in line, waiting for some sacred sign. But to find the balance is the purpose of this time. To restore the balance of the universal mind. And in the presence of my Lord of light and love, everything I see aspiring to be free. And when I call to thee, and come on bended knee, surrender to the all-pervading light and love. Reflections of the one surrounding me with love. And I sense your presence. I sense your presence. I sense your presence. I sense your presence. Within and without, above and below, yeah. East, west, north, and south, I sense your presence. Without and within, below and above, yeah, yeah. East, west, north, and south, I sense your presence. I sense your presence. Presence of my Lord of light and love, everything I find in tune with the divine. And here we stand in line, waiting for some sacred sign. But to find the balance is the purpose of this time. To restore the balance of the universal mind. And I am the light within your soul. In the essence of truth and right, love makes the circle whole. And when I call to thee, and come on bended knee, surrender to the all-pervading light and love. Reflections of the one surrounding me with love. For to find the balance is the purpose of this time? To restore the balance of the universal mind. And I sense your presence. I sense your presence. I sense your presence. I sense your presence. Shabbat Shalom, Holy Way of the Most High. Om Shabbat Shalom, I sense your presence. Om Shabbat Shalom, Holy Way of the Most High. Om Shabbat Shalom, I sense your presence. Om Shabbat Shalom, Holy Way of the Most High. Om Shabbat Shalom, I sense your presence. Om Shabbat Shalom, Holy Angel of the Most High. Om Shabbat Shalom, I sense your presence. I sense your presence.
And thank you for joining me here on Activating Compassion Radio. My name is Jessie Ann Nichols George, and I'm your hostess today. The music you were listening to at the beginning of the show is I Sense Your Presence. It's by Shem Shai, and you can definitely check out more of their music if you'd like on their website at www.shemshai.com. That's SHIMSHAI.com, and they every now and then have a great download or things like that when they're releasing a new CD, so definitely check them out. And I just want to extend a welcome to everybody, whether you're returning to us because you've been with us before and listened to the show, and you know we bring in some great guests and great information here, and you like what we do, or whether you're joining us for the very first time here. We do stream live in 3 additional places: TalkStream Live, StreamFinder, and PEN, also known as Pair Encounters Network. And I welcome everyone listening through those channels as well as those that are catching us through the podcast at iTunes, TuneIn.com, and through the YouTube version of the show. Here at Activating Compassion Radio, I look at the different ways that compassion exists in our lives, how to remove our blocks, resistances, frustrations, and more. And some weeks I'm discussing different aspects of how compassion is in our life, how it affects our life, and the different areas of compassion. Some weeks I am doing different exercises and practical implementations, and sometimes, or many times really, I should say, I have fantastic guests on the show. And today's definitely no exception to that because the person I have on today, Jackie Lapin, she has a wealth of information for you, and she really has it down. She knows her stuff, and she's got a lot of great information to share with you today. Also, I bring on different musical artists along the way. We've had Stephen Halpern, Peter Cater, Joe Matson, Claire Hadeen, Bruce Ciccarelli, Harold Grandstaff Moses, Craig Corolla, Stan Swift there, so a whole variety of musicians. And then this year I'm coordinating my musical artist guests with the turnings of the year. So at the spring equinox, we had Jim and Ashley Cash from Woven Green. Wonderful couple, wonderful show. Do check them out. Coming up in just 2 weeks on May Day, I'm having Angelia Grace, who is calling in from Ireland, to be on the show with us. So it's really going to be a great opportunity to experience the beautiful, etheric voice that she has to share with us. In my own work, what I do is I focus on helping people find and use compassion in their everyday lives, and I've created the Genesis Clearing Statement, which if you missed that, you can catch that through my website, JessieAnnNicholsGeorge1.com. From previous interviews I've done, you can catch it there. I've also authored 4 books, the most recent being You, Me, Life Dreams, and its companion workbook. The first 2 books, Activating Compassion and its companion workbook. And I have a 5th one that's in the process of coming out that I'm a co-author on, which is Embraced by the Divine. So you're definitely going to want to watch and check that out when that comes through. I've also created the Compassion Tour, which I'm currently on. So if you hear a little background noise, not as bad as we've had in some weeks, as those that have been following my tour know, you might get a little of that because I am in the Denver, Colorado area, actually a little suburb to that today. So broadcasting from there. And those that are in that area, I do have a workshop going on tonight and also tomorrow afternoon at Knick Knack Nuts, and I'm taking private session work both this Saturday and Sunday for that. And then I will be headed off to the Black Hills, which you can sign up for a full-day event if you're interested in being out in nature with me and doing some incredible hiking and learning and transforming at the same time. And then from there, I will be going to Palo, Iowa, where I'll be doing a full weekend event for the May Day celebration weekend. And then from there, it's on to Springfield, Illinois, and Kansas City, Missouri, then on up to Traverse City, Michigan, and Norway, Michigan. So we've got a whole bunch of things, and then it's going to be all around the East Coast for you to pay attention to. Just a reminder, if you enjoy the show, make certain you tell your friends, your family, share it out there, because I know when I share with my social media people, whether it's in my groups or whether it's just on my own page or wherever it's through, somebody always comes to me and goes, oh my gosh, I was just hitting a wall with that and I really needed that information. And I've had other people go, you literally changed my life by sharing that show with me. So, it's worth it. You never know. You might change a life or make a huge difference for somebody in their life. And I do keep all the archive shows on my page of the Main Street Universe tab on my website. Again, Jessie Ann Nichols George, the #1.com. And they can use the same link that you used to get into the show today to catch the archives, or they can catch the podcast at iTunes, TuneIn.com. And in about 1 to 2 weeks, I'll have it up on my YouTube channel as well in that version. Now, before we get started, I do like to delve into the 72 names of God and get a little message for a week. Again, this is also on my page of the Main Street Universe tab on my website, and you can go back and reflect on this throughout the week. So this is just a little something to focus on. And those that have listened to my show for a while, they know I love Yehuda because he puts it in everyday practical terms for us. He's a Kabbalah master, and he's just kind of got it down in the way he brings these insights in. And it also always fits perfectly with whoever I have on. And I think definitely this one is going to fit with today's guest, Jackie Lapin. Now, the message that he has for us today, the common name of God that he's sharing today, is umbilical cord. And the little message that goes with that is, when we experience moments of sadness, fits of anger, bouts of depression, or when we commit acts of intolerance or insensitivity, the divine radiance instantly withdraws, leaving us spiritual darkness. Unfortunately, in the chaos of day-to-day life, the laundry list above is bound to occur. And the insight he provides is, whenever we commit a negative action, the light instantly leaves our presence. We're floundering in the dark, and we may not detect this effect with our 5 senses, but we experience it internally and through the events in our lives. Our consciousness turns negative, our state of mind becomes gloomy and pessimistic. Situations around us spiral into darkness. We know we need to leave this space fast, but we see no way out. We're alone, trapped at the bottom of the snake pit, and the snakes are closing in quickly. The good news is that there's a tool that can prevent us from completely severing life-giving cords with the life-giving cord that connects us to the light, and this divine name is the tool. Now, the meditation he provides on this is you establish an umbilical cord to the divine energy, ensuring a constant glimmer of light in your life, especially for those times when you wind up in a place of utter darkness. Now, again, the common name is umbilical cord. The more formal name is He-Reshet. He-Reshet. So this is definitely going to tie into this conscious creation aspect, because I know that the meditation Yehuda has in here is actually very similar to one that our guest utilizes in her book as well, of practically conscious creating. So we're going to get to that in just a minute. We've got one little thought that I'm going to leave you with here, or some insights for you to kind of ponder right before we go into break here. And then when we come back, we'll be bringing on our guest, Jackie Lapin. Have you ever sat back and wondered, how do I get here? Why is my life like this? Or simply, what happened? Do you find that you just fall into things happening in your life and, that you were aware that maybe you were consciously creating, what is in your life? Do you just fall into them, or do you find that you're actually consciously creating them? Do you feel like a victim to your circumstances, or are you accountable for what you have in your life? I found that most people have asked at least one of the first set of questions at some point in their life. So many people today believe that they are the victim of circumstances. A strong societal programming provides an excuse and or justification for what we are dealing with and experiencing. In reality, this is just a way to keep us powerless. As we buy into the belief that certainly I did not wish this for myself, and I would never have done this to myself. When we consciously create, however, we seem to step into a whole new realm. The judgments drop, and we open the door to living compassionately with life and take hold to an awareness of our choices and understanding of what is happening in our life. For me, I see this as just a foundation for those that have a spiritual practice or business, and certainly there are many dynamics that play into us putting ourselves out there. So many get wrapped in the fundamental doing that they forget to be conscious in their choices each and every step. However, when we create from the conscious space, fully present and participating in our creating experience, we have an amazing, mystical, and magical journey that allows us to fulfill dreams and truly create. It is once we are in this space that we can look at the task side of things. Unfortunately, most of us do this in the opposite way, putting the task first and then trying to step into creating. One of the biggest challenges that I see in many developing their spiritual practice is how to market themselves. It is often a case of, yay, I have a great idea, passion and motivation. Now what to do with that? And this step often triggers the material-spiritual balance conflict within us that tends to squash the excitement we first start with. However, when we start with conscious creation and build from its foundation, then we can really market what we have. This process allows us to be clear and able to put things together. While often I see people that try to market, but they are not clear in what they are creating, so fluid that they can't express anything. Jackie Lapin is one person that is helping people build their spiritual practice and business through conscious creation. She's also a media relations expert that helps others get noticed and get their work out there. One thing that she points out is that consciously creating is not just about your business, but about all areas of your life. It is about truly living your dream and fully in that, allowing it to unfold as completely as possible. I love this because it removes the judgments of what is successful and what is not. It reminds us that we are creating, or what we're creating, is not just a business or practice, but a life, and that this is the real focus of our creation. This is where we find a divine connection that opens doors and develops flow in our lives. This then shifts our marketing from simply a product or service to marketing ourselves and marketing to the lifestyle that we are choosing to create. For some, this will be celebrity limelight with lots of money, and for others, a monastic lifestyle, unreliant on money, and for others, something in between them. No right or wrong, just an experience that you choose to live, that you choose to change at any time you would like, be it the whole experience or just part of it. Have you been consciously creating a lifestyle or trying to build a business? Are you letting go of the societal programming that tells you success is a certain way and focusing on what you truly desire to have? Is your so-called marketing and media presence coming from consciously creating, or are you trying to consciously create from a marketing and media platform? This week, our guest focuses on a component of compassion that's related to the aspect in my books of creating a new world. And this reminds us that to create our world as we desire it to be, it is important to create consciously. It reminds us that it is up to us to create what we desire instead of waiting for it to fall into our laps. I'm going to take a short break, and when we return, I will have Jackie Lapin sharing her work in practical conscious creation. And the song I have for you during our break today is called Why Is It So Hard by Claire Hedin. And if you'd like to find out more about Claire's work or connect with more of her music, you can certainly do so on her website at www.clairehedin.com. That's CLAREHEDIN.com. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes.
People everywhere who will drive us to the
And welcome back. You are listening to Activating Compassion Radio, and my name is Jessie Ann Nichols George, and I'm your hostess today. You were just listening to a song called Why's It So Hard by Claire Hedin, and you can check out more of Claire's work at www.clairehedin.com. That's ClareHedin.com. Now, today I have with me Jackie Lapin, and she's a world leader in educating, mentoring, and coaching people on practical conscious creation. Jackie is a noted speaker, coach, and transformational business consultant. Her mission is to turn millions of people into conscious creators so that they consciously create their lives rather than let life happen to them. Jackie founded United World Healing, a nonprofit organization designed to bring people together for shared visions to change the world. She was one of the nation's first women sports writers and then became a nationally recognized media relations expert. Jackie is also the founder of Conscious Media Relations and Conscious and Transformational Speakers, companies assisting transformational individuals, companies and organizations with spreading the word about their mission. And we're going to discuss her work with practical conscious creation today and as a media specialist helping others to get their work into the world. And you can definitely learn more about her work through her website at www.jackielapin.com, and that's JACKIELAPIN.com. And Jackie, I really just want to welcome you here to Activating Compassion Radio, and I really appreciate you giving your time to us today.
Well, thank you for having me, Jessie. I'm delighted to be here.
And, I would love for you to start off just by sharing with our listeners a little bit about your path, your journey, what brought you into this work, and how you got into doing what you're doing now.
Sure. Well, you alluded to my beginnings in the introduction. I wanted to be a sports writer from the time I was 11 years old. I was consciously creating right from the beginning. And at the age of 20, I was at the Detroit Free Press. At 21, I was at the Associated Press and on the front pages of the LA Times. And 22, I was at the Washington Post. And I segued from there into creating my own media relations agency. We were one of the two largest sports special events entertainment companies in the United States. And we did major organizations and companies. I did the first 4 LA marathons. I launched the Golf Channel. I did the 75th anniversary of the National Hockey League. I did all of Toyota's motorsports for 15 years. A lot of big things. And it was very successful over the course of that time. And about, I would say, 10 years ago, I began to go into my own spiritual journey to explore some of the issues that were going on in my life, and I began reading many of the leading spiritual leaders and their books across the board. And in the process, now keep this in mind, this was before The Secret came to the U.S., I'm seeing a theme that's going through here, and people aren't really addressing it in any depth, and it is the fact that our emotions and our thoughts, our energy, and they impact our future. They have this great ability to actually influence what our experience is. So I sat down to write my first book, which was called The Art of Conscious Creation, Daily Techniques to Manifest Your Desires, and it did really very well. And in the process of doing that, I also realized that there really wasn't a lot of database or information on the media that covered this area, so I began to pull that media together to promote my own book. Well, and I'm thinking to myself, well, gee, if I'm doing this, maybe some other people could use this information too. And by the time that my second book came around, which is Practical Conscious Creation, Daily Techniques to Manifest Your Desires, which is actually really a composite of 70 individual articles and 70 tips, which were in my newsletter to that point, I'm beginning to realize that my heart is not so much in mainstream publicity, because I sort of segued, by the way, one of the other things I did over the years was launch the Worldwide Poker Phenomenon, so you have me to thank for that with the World Poker Tour. But, when I began to realize that when, I'd exited that and was doing more of all this mainstream publicity, that's not where my heart was. The mainstream media is hard to get to do anything at all these days. The media has contracted. People are on social networking, but the media's focus is really not on the kinds of things that they were 10 years ago. And I'm thinking, this isn't any fun anymore. This isn't what I want to do. And as it occurred to me, I really wanted to be servicing the conscious community. I wanted to grow consciousness in the world. That's where my heart was. So I basically shifted my public relations agency entirely into the mind, body, spirit world. So now we service authors, organizations, product and service marketers, associations, nonprofits, anybody that's helping to make us or the world better, to help create transformation in the world so that we are on a trajectory to bring us to wholeness. And so that's the kind of clientele that we serve, and the work that we do at Conscious Media Relations and Conscious and Transformational Speakers, our new Speakers Bureau. We do done-for-you programs in PR. We have do-it-yourself programs in PR, and then the Speakers Bureau. It's all part of the same picture that I am a messenger of my message, which is conscious creation, and I am a messenger of other people's messages. And that's where my joy is. And now we have, this database of, the biggest database in the industry of conscious and transformational media, and enables us to really help transform the world in a really positive way. And so that's where my heart is. That's what I do. My books and my mission are important to help people understand that they can begin consciously creating their lives. And, of course, that's what I do. I've reinvented my life numerous times by consciously creating, being true to my vision and making things happen. So I love to be able to teach that to other people.
I think this is great, and some of your journey is actually very similar in a way to another guest I had on a while back, which was Adam Hall. And he, too, started in this one industry and then decided to take those skills and transfer it into the spiritual industry and put the focus on spiritual. And in his work, he does land preservation work. And I think this is important because a lot of people get locked into their day-to-day lives like, well, I'm a manager. How does that transfer over into having a spiritual profession? Or, I've been working in customer service. How does that transfer over and allow me to do this? And it just goes to show that no matter what we're in, we can make that transfer over to operating on a more conscious level. And I think that is really inspirational for people.
Well, thank you. And I think that people need to understand that there are two paths you can take. One, you can bring greater consciousness to what you are doing now, or you can shift into a new way of working in the world, whether that's working for somebody else, working for yourself, creating some niche, working for multi-level marketing, where you're kind of half your own boss, and you have a backup, or whatever it may be. But you can do that in such ways that you are fulfilling what your heart's desire and purpose is. And even if you're just staying where you are, you can influence your role, how you deal with people on the outside, how you deal with people on the inside. You can begin to consciously create a better situation for yourself and the people you encounter.
I really agree with that, and I think that that's important. And I think the conscious creation process is this cycle. Sometimes it just unfolds as you go. You start on one piece, you start working with yourself, and then you start to find those areas that you love and that you want to bring out, and you refine it along the way. And sometimes you go down one path and you're going, oh, that's maybe not the direction I want to go, so let's change it. And you bring that up in your book, for example, that you can change all or you can change a piece of it. It's not an all or nothing scenario there.
Well, yeah. In fact, in the business section that I talk about in Practical Conscious Creation, people assume that if they're going to get to the point where they are living a conscious life in work, that they have to quit their job and go find something that they can do that brings them joy and wholeness, etc. And the fact is that it's not all that easy just to make a total transition, which is what prevents people from just doing it. One of the ways to do that is to basically live with one foot in both worlds, so that perhaps you have a full-time day job, and in the other hours you are starting to build your other business, your new venture, whatever that might be, so that you don't have to lift up the first from your foot from the mainstream world until you've got a solid footing for your other foot, which is in the other world. You've already started building clients, getting the word out, building products, and now you're ready to go. Some teachers say you just have to make a clean break, but the truth of the matter is not everybody can afford to do that. So the point is to start moving forward into the new section, in the new area, and be building to the point where you can leave behind the old.
I'm so glad that you brought that up, because that's something that I've told people as well along the way, is especially if you don't have some giant budget to just live on for a couple of years, then make that transition. Start at part-time as you're keeping that so-called security blanket there. And some people need that while they're developing their trust and their leaps of faith along the way. And I've done that myself along the way. Kept one job going while I built something else up. And though not always the easiest way, but it definitely allowed me to build things in a safe, stable, comfortable manner for me at that time with what I had to work with. So I think this is very, very important. Now, you had mentioned that one of the things when you were talking about coming onto your path, that you noticed a pattern of emotion, thoughts, and energy influencing things. Can you share with us a little bit more about how energy works?
This is the most vital understanding that gives people the tools to begin changing their lives. Our thoughts and our emotions are energy. Just like the physical molecules you can see in your body, these are molecules you don't see, but they are waves or frequencies of energy. And when they go out into the world, they do one of two things. They either impact things on a domino effect, or they attract like energy back. And that's what law of attraction is all about, for example. So, you will experience what it is that you're putting out into the world. Now, the frequencies that we are operating on are in an entirely top to bottom frequency range. The low frequencies are fear and anxiety and worry and disappointment and distrust. And when you put that out into the universe, what you are going to be getting back is more things to reinforce your experience of that. So if you are distrustful of people, you're going to attract more people to make you feel distrustful. You're going to attract untrustworthy people, or you're going to attract people that may not be untrustworthy, but you're going to perceive them as untrustworthy. So you're going to experience, these people are not to be trusted. So it reinforces whatever you're already mired in. And when you're operating in low frequencies, you're going to, it's like driving the car with the brakes on. That's when life is challenging, when you're having financial troubles, that's when you are having relationship issues, that's when your job doesn't work, etc. And so it's not an easy life. Now, if you're vibrating in the high range, which is love and compassion and joy and trust in the universe and trusting in people and optimism and compassion and all of these other positive values, then you're vibrating in the high frequency ranges. Now, the universe vibrates at the highest frequency, which is love. And so when you are vibrating in high frequencies, the universe literally carries you along. And that's when that's what it feels like you have you're being drafted by a race car, or you're having the wind in your sails. And that's when things begin to get easy. That's when you see the synchronicities happen. That's when doors begin to open. That's when opportunities just seem to present themselves, and everything just goes amazingly smoothly. So the key to understanding this is when you are consciously creating and creating with intent, visualizing, etc., and operating in the high frequency range, and the universe is carrying you forward, that's when you begin to see your manifestations become fruition, become reality very, very fast. It speeds up this incredible process, and it's very Pavlovian because when you see it happen, you go, oh, this is so cool. I just told the universe I wanted that a week ago, and it just showed up in my life. How did that happen? You get very excited. You get very much into wonderment, and you think, I want to do more of this. And so that's when you begin to think, how can I manage my personal frequency, which is to make sure that I'm in the high range instead of in the low range so that I can experience more of this. And that's really how the energy works. So this is one of the other things that's really interesting about this is that there are actually 7 steps to consciously creating your life. And as a result, you can actually take this process into your own hands. The first process is to accept that you are actually responsible for your own life and begin taking charge. And that was what you were talking about a little bit earlier, Jesse, that you really, when you recognize that you are responsible for being able to experience, to shift the number of positive experiences in your life and the ratio to negative experience. In other words, create more positive experiences rather than allow yourself to live with more negative experience because that's just what you've been experiencing rather than just let it be. You actually begin to shift that, and you can actually change the ratio. Then you realize, it's really astonishing, that you are no longer a victim. You're no longer a victim because you have control over it, and you can actually influence the course of your future. And I think that's really important. That's step 1 in consciously creating your life. Step 2 on consciously creating your life is access your current frequency and your vibrational level and recognize that you are lowering your frequency. How you're lowering your frequency is you go about your daily life. You know, I think what we're talking about here is what I call negative energy habits. We all have these, and they could be everything from complaining about things, assuming everything is going to be for the worst, putting yourself down, your self-esteem, I'm not good, I'm not smart, any of these negative energy habits that are going around in your head, around and around and around and around, and that you're just allowing these memes, as they say, to poison your life. When what I suggest is that you actually set your cell phone for once every hour, and when it goes off, your alarm, check and see what you're thinking. You're going to be astonished at how much of it is negative thought. So when you really begin to recognize that you are doing this on a regular basis, you have the power to change it. So when you know how you are lowering your frequency and creating your negative habits, you have the ability to begin stopping that and to begin change. So the third step in consciously creating your life is begin the process of personal frequency management. This is where you take those steps to raise your frequency, and this is the most critical step. It is thinking, oh my God, I'm thinking this awful thing. I don't need to do this more. I'm going to do something different. I'm going to change. In my book, The Practical Conscious Creation, I have a chapter on 20 different questions you can ask yourself to reframe an experience that's something that you would naturally think is negative. And instead you say, okay, so what is the universe trying to teach me here? Or what can I learn from this experience where I can help others? Or what is the message here that's going to, the learning lesson that's going to allow me to do this better the next time? You know, we can always take whatever experience we have in our life and reframe it or stop ourselves from going into that negative vortex and say, I'm going to think about this from a different standpoint. You know, one of the things that I have discovered over the time is that when I start going into this big negative energy funk, thinking negatively, being depressed, whatever, I've discovered that I can simply, if I don't do that, if I don't change what I'm thinking, then the next day is not going to be any fun. And when my computer goes out, because there's usually a connection to the fact that I have some anxiety, some ball of anxiety in my stomach. We impact everything else around us. The Art of Conscious Creation book has this entire chapter of 70 different scientific studies that show how we impact everything around us through our energy, our thoughts, our plants, our emotions, our computers, people. We have a tremendous impact around us, and we're not even aware of that. So when we decide that we want to really shift out of a negative experience, many of us, we spoke about people who have negative energy habits, but some people are just having a bad day. You know how you get up in the morning and the dog's pooped on the floor and your boss starts to yell at you and you spill coffee on yourselves, and as that happens, it starts to ratchet up and your mood just goes worse and worse and worse and worse, and everything just spirals out of control. So if you're either dealing with your negative energy habits or just a spiraling day, the best things to do are very simple. There are things that are actually going to make you feel happier or better. For me, I actually have 300 beautiful roses on my property, so I'll go out and actually smell the roses. But there are all kinds of other things that you could do to increase your raise your personal frequency, and these include, go out and play with your pets, get out in nature, do exercise, play music, listen to music, play with your kids, call someone you love, meditate, read something that that inspires you. Anything that brings you peace and joy will shift you out of your negative frequencies. So that's a really, this is within your power to start changing it. And the Practical Conscious Creation is filled with all these different ways that you can actually begin raising your frequency. So that is step 3 in the process. The step 4 is decide what you would like to experience in your future with clarity. Now, one of the things is that the universe, if you're not clear, it can't deliver you anything. If you're ambivalent, unsure, it doesn't know what to give you. But one of the key things that is very clear is that a lot of people tried to consciously create when they saw The Secret. But there's a very significant reason why a lot of people did not experience success beginning to understand the law of attraction. And that's the fact that even though they may have a high frequency vision of what they would like to hold and what they'd like to experience, if they have low frequency things running in the background, I'm not good enough, good things never happen to me, I'm desperate, I have to have this happen, I'm so financially tight, life is challenging for me, and if all of that stuff is going on underneath, then the universe cannot give you what you want because you are actually operating from 2 different energy levels. Now, if you raise your personal frequency and you get into that high frequency state, then it can begin answering your call, essentially. So you want to be very clear about what it is that you want to experience. Know what your intentions are. Know what that's going to be for you, and so that the universe can respond to it. The next step is to commence the visualization process. This is step 5. So when you're actually beginning to visualize, you have to do as if you were actually there, as if you were experiencing it, right in this moment in time. You're present there. You want to see what you're experiencing. You want to hear it, you want to smell it, you want to, get the sensory element of it, but most importantly, you want to get the feeling of it. Are you happy? Are you excited? Are you in love? Are you joyful? Are you so thrilled to be abundant? When you are experiencing your emotions, because the universe actually responds much more strongly to our emotions than our thoughts, that is your emotions are the express mail to the cosmic post office. This is the area that actually will have the greatest impact on what manifests. So if you're feeling frustrated or fearful, or you're afraid that this won't manifest, then you're not going to experience it. But if you're absolutely sure and you're in a state of joy and peace and wonder and excitement, you have a much greater rate of potential success of experiencing it. Now, once you put your wish out there to the universe, you visualized it, action 6 is to become an actionary. You cannot sit around on the couch and wait for it to happen. That the universe supports those people that actually start to take action, to move forward into what it is that you want to experience. So if you want to experience love, be love. Go out and volunteer in an animal shelter. Go take care of somebody. If you want to experience abundance, then contribute to abundance. Help other people in ways that are fruition for them, or make a contribution of your time and energy somewhere, so that you have a sense of abundance for what you're doing. There's one of the chapters in my book where it shows a little Indiana Jones character. Indiana Jones character. It's kind of like, this is what happens when you make a commitment and start moving forward. He's being chased by the bad guys, and there's this giant chasm over which there's no bridge. And he gets to this chasm, and he goes, how am I going to get over this bridge? And the little Yoda creature goes, take the first step. And so he then begins to take the first step, and the first step appears. And then the next one, and then the next one, and then the next one, until he's over the bridge. And that's how life is. Once you take the first step, the universe will support you. And that's when you'll see you'll get clear on where you're headed. People will present themselves that you need. Opportunities will arise. And it may not be going where you think you had originally intended, but the universe is taking you in ways that are going to be for your highest good. So once you start taking action, then the universe will present the pathway open for you, and you're going to see good things happen. And then the very last step of consciously creating your life, of the 7 steps, is to incorporate practical conscious creation practices in everything that you do. Begin to look at the way that you live your life, and see if are these high frequency activities, or are these low tech. If you're allowing people to drag you down with their energy, if you are unkind and thoughtless, if you are telling untruths, all of these things, are low frequency experiences, and there are indicators that you really need to start changing and living the life of high frequency activities that will enable you to actually be a better, faster manifester. Jesse? Well, it seems I'm going to be continuing to talk here, and I wanted to make sure that you guys have a grounding in practical conscious creation. You've been able to do that. Perhaps I should talk about the various different elements that really the practical conscious creation equation, and that's positive plus attitude equals love, joy, and abundance. And for each of those words, positive and attitude, I'm going to give you a couple of attributes that you can actually do that are going to be high frequency and that are going to equal love, joy, and abundance for you. The first one is P, and that stands for passionate. Have passion in your life and approach your life from a passionate standpoint. O, you want to be optimistic and positive, and you want to release fear, and you want to be fearless and unworried. So you want to be in an optimistic and positive framework. S is for serene, patient. You don't need to be rushing through life. You don't need to feel anxious. The more serene you feel, the more patient you feel, the more it is that people are going to be attracted to you. Opportunities are going to come your way. The universe likes serenity. Certainly you want to be meditating. That helps create that serenity. I is for introspection and accepting of responsibility. And this is where you can you want to look inside. You want to know that your actions that what happens to you come out of your own actions. Accept responsibility for what it is that you're experiencing in life. What part of this was my responsibility? What did I do here to create, to experience this in my life? So I is for introspection. T is for transformative. You want to be transformative. You want to have the willingness to change. You want to have the courage to change. You want to be willing to step out and into the unknown. So that's really important, transformative. I is for intuitive. You want to be intuitive. This is such an important aspect of it. You want to be able to listen inside, listen to that little voice, listen to your connection to the divine universe that's giving you messages all the time. V is being vibrationally conscious and upbeat. You want to you want to be aware of your vibration and be conscious of it and make sure that it's upbeat. V is also for visualization, of course, and so that you will visualize what it is that you want to have in your life with a positive high-frequency energy. E is for expressive. One of the places that we get really bound up in our lives is not expressing what it is that we need to say in the world. We hold it back. We keeping it down. But if you are expressive, and do this in a kind and compassionate way, if you are expressive, then in fact you're going to find your life being much more smooth, and you will be freed from the tyranny that holding things back in your life experiences for you. A is that's the word positive. Now we're on to the word attitude. A is for accepting, going with the flow, being without judgment, without expectation. T, of course, and that's really important. We need to really be in that place of accept what the universe is giving us, and then just being able to readjust to that, to go with the flow, and to live without judgment. You need to accept who people are, the way that they are, and you want to be without expectations. One of the articles in my book is all about how expectation is the death of serenity. If you actually go out there and determine that this is what you're going to experience, and you don't experience it in that way, you oftentimes obviously will be disappointed, but you overlook another benefit that's coming to your life. So you really want to be accepting of what's being offered to you. T is for trusting, knowing that all is well, all is as it should be, everything has a reason. Trust the universe, because in fact everything is being done for your highest good. Even the biggest challenge in your life are being put there as a learning tool, a school. So trust that the universe has your benefit at heart. T, the next T is for truthfulness. You need to be true with yourself and with others. This is absolutely critical. By being truthful, you're going to be able to provide the kind of vibration that, in fact, will attract beauty and love and joy into your life. You need to ride a wave of truthfulness. And when you're being truthful with others, again, just do it in a kindly and compassionate way. And the same is true with yourself. Open those doors, forgive yourself, allow yourself to live in the truth instead of hiding from it. I is for being inspired. You want to be inspired and you want to inspire others. But your life is so much more joyful when you are inspired with the work that you're doing, with the people that you're encountering, with what it is you're contributing to the world. So always find a way to be inspired. T is for taking action. We talked about being an actionary. This is really a critical point. This is where the rubber meets the road, so to speak. So you want to take action. U is being unfettered, unchained, letting go, forgiving, releasing. This is the point when you want to allow those things that have been barnacles on your life to scrape them away and get rid of those things that are holding you back. Let go. Choose to focus on the positive. Choose to focus on the future. Choose to focus on building new relationships or improving the relationships and forgiving the past. release what is no longer serving you, the habits, the experiences, the memories of the past, and move forward. You want to be unfettered and unchained. That's what the universe rewards. D, you want to determine your future. Choose, create through intention. Do not let life happen to you. Actually, you want to experience life as you would like it to have, rather than let it happen to you. So determine your future. And E is elevating your energy, which we've been talking about all along here. Basically, being in a high frequency state all of the time. Take a look at that, and hopefully this is the practical conscious creation. Positive plus attitude equals love, joy, and abundance. Jesse? Well, I guess Jesse is still trying to rejoin the call, so I'm going to go on to at least one other thing that I think may be fun, and that is experiencing the money tree. And this is a beautiful little guided meditation to help you get to the point where you can, in fact, begin focusing less on the scarcity in your life and the lack, and more begin to remember that you are, a tremendous source of abundance, and that actually your source of abundance comes from somewhere else, not from where you get your paycheck. So if you have a minute, close your eyes, and I'd like you to begin imagining that you have swallowed a seed, and that seed is going right down into your little tummy, and in fact, it is implanted. Oh, and look at that. There's a little trunk that's coming up. Oh, and see, there are branches coming off that trunk. And lo and behold, as it grows, there are green leaves, and every one of those green leaves is a $1,000 bill. Wow. So you take and you pluck one of those $1,000 bills and you spend it. And look at that. Another one grows back in its place. And you spend another one, and another one grows back. You are an ever-abundant money tree. That money tree, you want to nurture it and love it, and it's source. It springs from source, and just keep nurturing and loving that beautiful money tree of yours, and allow source to support it. And you will, in fact, remember that you are an ever-abundant money tree. You are an ever-abundant money tree. And I want to encourage you to go to my website, JacquieLapin.com, and there you can actually get your own picture of a money tree to actually put on your own, on your mirror, on your vision, at your desk. It is in a place where you can see it, and it can bring such joy back to you and on a regular basis to remind you that you are an ever-abundant money tree. You can go to Jackie Lapin and go to the Practical Conscious Creation drop-down, and then you can get your own little money tree image. So I encourage people to do that. Jesse? Well, I hope that this has been of value to folks, and hopefully Jesse can come back in here at some point, and that you will be able to take advantage of some of the information. I invite you to come visit me at JacquieLapin.com. You can come, and it's JacquieLapin.com, or you can also come and explore some of the work that we do in public relations, especially if you're an author or a speaker or expert, and go to ConsciousMediaRelations.com. And then, of course, if you're interested in being a speaker, I invite you to come explore with us at ConsciousAndTransformationalSpeakers.com, ConsciousAndTransformationalSpeakers.com. Thank you for listening to me today, and I'm really sorry that somehow Jesse and I have been disconnected, and I'm hoping that we can reconvene on this at some other point. Thank you very much, and if you've got any questions, you can always reach out to me at Jackie@JacquieLapin.com, Jackie@JacquieLapin.com, JACKIE at JACKIELAPIN. Thanks very much. Bye.